ahead and start. Okay,
Sorry
welcome.
about that.
No problem. Welcome everybody to the January 15th meeting of the Housing and Economic Development Committee meeting for the town of Hadley. With me this evening, we have Bill Dwyer, myself, Molly Keegan, Shardul Parmerer, and Sean Barry. And we also have Tony Maroulis from the university as a non-voting member. So first order of business on the agenda this evening would be to see if there's any update since our last discussion about university plans, either in terms of project work or even economic development. So, Tony?
No updates since the last meeting. But yeah, let's keep this on the agenda and keep moving through.
Okay. Okay. Then next we have an update on the Smart Growth 40R initiative.
And I think that has been on hiatus for a bit as well. Kyle Fennell, who was the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission representative, left for another job and was not he has been replaced, but was not immediately replaced. So we do expect to have a meeting with them at our first meeting in February, first Tuesday of February, and to get back on track with what we're doing with PVPC for the planning board as a whole and for the 40R. But I think it's at this point, the 40R won't make it before the fall town meeting.
Fall town meeting of
Fall
20...
26. It's still potentially doable for fall of 26.
Okay.
Although I haven't been monitoring that directly.
Okay.
I think Mark Dunn is doing that, and I believe Kishore is doing that as well. So, and I think they're sort of they're just at the stage where they were ready to start drafting something.
Okay.
But again, it will not make Springtown meeting.
Okay. And then next on the agenda, general update on planning board projects. So it looks like you've had a fair amount of activity lately.
Yeah, it's been we've processed 4 combined use solar fields in December. And I'm sure they'll be into select board for tax agreements in due course. The combined use ones are elevated so that farming operations can continue underneath. So 4 of those. We did get a filing in for the senior housing at the Hadley Village Barn Shops. That had its first public hearing at our last meeting. There were a couple of questions, so it's on again for next Tuesday. We also have we're opening a public hearing on Bank of America, which wants to put a branch across the street from Chase. So it's like Burger King, Wendy, and McDonald's. They all want to be on 4 corners of the same block.
Absolutely.
That'll probably go fairly straight, fairly well. There's some inquiry for those of you who need glasses. There's going to be a Warby Parker store opening in Mountain Farms Mall. And there's a new restaurant. Apparently, Mattress Firm has moved on again. And it's no longer in the former Manny's building on the edge of the Mountain Farms Mall property. I don't know where they've moved to, but there's a restaurant that wants to go in there, and they're going to come in Tuesday to tell us what they want to do
Into the old Manny's?
into the old part of the old Manny's. So there was a mattress firm was on one half of it, and Orange Theory, which is a
Orange Theory,
fitness,
yeah.
was in the other. And so now apparently they're both gone.
Mhm.
So I have not been over there to see if there's signs on the door or whatever, but the mall is going to put in some EV chargers in that sub parking lot of the former Manny's building.
Mhm.
Um, and we have not heard from Barry Roberts on his senior housing project, but I believe he has been talking to the Conservation Commission,
Okay. And that's the one up,
Rocky Hill and
Rocky
North
Hill.
Maple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
What's the status with that coffee place and Dave's Hot Chicken?
Uh, Dave's Hot Chicken, the sign contractor came in and we said, before we waste all of our time talking about signs, maybe we should find out if the building permit is still valid. Um, there's been no activity there. The coffee place is probably not going to happen. They had a Connecticut site designer or landscape architect who was not familiar with Massachusetts wetlands law. And in that location, they would trigger all sorts of compensatory storage, even for their tiny little building.
Right.
So,
Bill, are you talking about the triangle up by Pride?
no, this was the one
No.
that was going to go in basically next to Jiffy Lube within the Mountain Farms Mall.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep.
No, the one at the Triangle at Old Bay Road and Route 9, special permit is lapsed on that one.
Mhm.
So I get occasional inquiries about, can we put EV charging there? Show us a plan. We haven't seen anything.
We actually did reach out to the broker because it's our broker, said, what's going on? And we said, look, if you want, you're not doing anything. I said, even as a Hadley resident, I would just buy it and clear it and just
Clear
leave
it
it
up.
stuff. Yeah, not be an eyesore anymore.
Yeah.
So we made a small offer and didn't hear back. So
And there had been a leak there. There's an activity and use limitation, which would basically preclude it being used for housing. But it's still available for commercial uses, but it's an awkward site. It's all pre-existing non-conforming, so there is no real expansion options there.
I think the only way it would work is if you'd have to buy the adjacent property, which is I think the Pride,
Mhm.
whatever the parcel that's not part of the gas station. But I think that area, I don't know if the Pride gas station needs that area for drainage or anything else, because feels like it's definitely lower than the Pride itself.
I believe when we did site plan approval for it, it was sort of an integrated site, and we did ask them to show us their drainage for not only what they were building, but what they could build in the future. And I think there may be some interaction of where the detention ponds are. So it's not like there were two parcels there. There's one parcel that Pride owns, and what they're willing to share is up to them.
Yeah. Again, we made an inquiry, never heard back. 'Cause I don't know if the Bob Bolduc still owns it, because when he sold out, if that's owned by because I do know that he separated some of those parcels from the gas stations because he had multiple ones all across. Everywhere he had a gas station, he would have a parcel next to it. I think the one in Chicopee was like that, and the one other places, Westfield. But I don't believe that those were part of the sale. Only the physical gas stations. So I think for obviously for permitting, it was probably one, but I don't know legally if they separated the parcels or what.
I don't recall.
Yeah.
But that's I think that's about it. A couple of minor things, a home occupation, and
Anybody have any questions for Bill or anything they want discussed at a future related to the planning board?
Nothing here.
I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the update, Bill. We put on another an item. Just I don't know if folks had a chance to take a look at the articles. There were a couple of kind of interesting articles. One of them was in the Boston Globe, and I think the other one, Commonwealth Beacon. I think that's the name of it. Yeah, so Bill had just pointed them out and thought that might be interesting reading for the committee. You know, a lot of pushback, a lot of zoning complications, seeming conflicting, you know, initiatives not aligning with the reality of how zoning works.
Mhm.
So, Bill, I don't know if there was anything in particular you wanted to
Nothing in
point out?
particular. It's the Cambridge case. The developer doesn't want to provide affordable housing units pursuant to the Cambridge bylaw, and he's in Superior Court. It'll definitely go up on appeal, probably to the SJC. So we probably won't see the end of that story until 2027 or even 2028. But it is something to be mindful of. He's basically, as I read the article and not having dug any deeper into it, he's basically saying that if you tell me I have to do something, it's a taking. And you can't do that. I think we are on safer grounds in Hadley because we're using more of a carrot and a stick approach. And I'll use the example of the senior housing. Senior housing does have a requirement of providing affordable units, but the bylaw, the carrot is if you do senior housing, you'll be allowed to build things you wouldn't otherwise be allowed to build. But in exchange, we would like a certain percentage of that to be considered affordable. Whereas Cambridge is just flat out saying anything you want to do, you have to make part of it affordable. So we'll see how it plays out, see what kind of guidance we get on that. And the other one was specific to Boston, but it really widespread about just
You'd change the name of it to any town.
yeah, how difficult it is to get projects approved with the NIMBY, not in my backyard, and then the banana built absolutely nothing near anything.
I haven't heard that one.
So yeah, I think part of it is maybe some of it's legitimate that yeah, your drainage plan doesn't work, and maybe some of it is I'm here, pull up the drawbridge. So it's more just for information. That's we tend to get at a public hearing, we tend to get people who don't want the project. We rarely get people who are coming to speak in favor of the project, other than the proponents themselves. But as I come across these things, I send them around. I'm subscribed to a couple of these. They're statewide politics things, so it's always something interesting.
Yeah, and I'd encourage anybody on the committee, if you run across articles that you think would be relevant to this committee, feel free, shoot it over to me, and I'll send it out to the group.
There was a great podcast. Now it's almost 7 years ago. It was called "Why Rent Control Doesn't Work." It was out by Freakonomics, and Boston was mentioned, and and zoning, and kind of the how nebulous it is and how difficult it is was one of the things mentioned. Again, this was 7 years ago now. This was 2019, and I remember them talking about zoning was because when you go and look at Boston, there's a significant amount of underutilized industrial land, and a lot of area that could be used for housing that isn't, just because of the way that zoning is set up and how that creates kind of a supply and demand issue where demand is so much higher than supply, and that's where rents are only go in one direction in most of the Northeast, and they talked about even Europe. But when you go and look at areas of the country recently that have experienced significant housing growth, Austin is probably one of the largest in the country. They were showing that rents are actually declining now. Yeah, in those markets, and on the whole, rents in the country are declining. The pockets are obviously Northeast and other areas where, again, zoning and is in construction, trying to get construction costs, all these things are so much higher, the higher barriers to entry. Those are the areas where you're never going to go and see any real relief in rent or costs, just because you can't build it. And the fact is that even when you try to get permitting for projects, it takes years, and even with subsidies and so on and so forth, it's even longer.
I know
that is one of the big topics in abundance by Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson, which was out last year. And I don't know if anyone else has read that, but it's worth a read. These have been identified more and more, and I think that's what the YIMBY crowd is all about at the moment, in trying to change a lot of those and you enact policy changes to create more housing. And I would say that, there is a YIMBY bill now that is being worked on in Massachusetts, but even what the governor's office produced, the housing plan, is very much a YIMBY plan, but it's still on the local level facing a lot of resistance.
Yeah, there's a lot of work going on, but whether it will translate, if it would, what I have seen were parts that would reduce lot sizes, but doesn't do a bit about construction costs.
Right.
And part of our concern with the lot sizes is so much of the town is not on sewer. So whatever you can say about Boston, and yeah, we can put a few more houses in there. It's all on sewer. But when septic needs X number of square feet per bedroom, you can tell us we shouldn't have more than 125 feet of frontage, but that doesn't mean you have a buildable lot if you can't perk and design a septic system.
Now, I will say this: I was in Austin over the summer, and they'll build anything anywhere. It really is like puzzling when you go and you're just like you're on an on ramp, and then there's a building right next to the on ramp, and like a house, like a brand new apartment building being built on the basically on the on ramp, and it is a strange for us. It for good planning and zoning, it is a strange concept that they have built. There's no real rhyme or reason sometimes of why they do certain things. I was watching Bloomberg today, and there's a Michigan Senator, Slotkin, and she's really pushing for more of basically legislation that would say that if you're not promoting and pushing for freeing up more housing in your state or wherever, we're going to withhold infrastructure money. It's basically kind of a more punitive way of doing things, which is obviously very strange especially from a Democrat. But she's kind of pushing that agenda right now, because they're saying in the country, they need 4 million new houses, and how are you going to be able to permit them?
Straight from the abundance playbook, though, which was written for the Democratic Party. It's just, so I think a lot of Democrats are starting to adopt that. I don't think it'll be so strange in the coming years.
Okay. Anything else on that topic, or no? We can move on. So the final agenda item that I had was just a quick update. So we talked at the last meeting about this consulting outfit called Urban 3. And I did have the opportunity to have a quick, kind of like a 20-minute demo, if you will, or just an initial conversation with them. And then as a result of that, I have invited them to do a presentation at our next meeting in February. So basically the gist of the presentation is really about kind of focusing on the concept of value per acre. So it's an exercise it can turn into more than an exercise, but it's an attempt to really promote discussion about approaching planning kind of encumbered with facts about revenue and expenses. So, they give an example which is very relevant for Hadley, which is why I think it would be worthwhile for us to at least hear what they have to say about building a warehouse of some kind, whether that's a Costco or BJ's Wholesale Club or Amazon, something like that, and think about the amount of acreage it takes to support that type of construction. And the good news is it's pretty low cost, low impact, typically, et cetera, compared to looking at just a small piece of land and what the possibilities are on that. So they give examples of whether, density housing or mixed use and that type of thing, and the revenue that it can generate for a community relative to the cost. And there are more services that go along with that. But it just, kind of orienting our way of thinking about future planning in zoning in Hadley. So I thought it would be great for them to at least start with us and talk to Bill about, inviting the planning board, anybody on the planning board that may want to see their initial presentation. Their end goal, of course, is to be hired to have us do something very specific to Hadley. So the presentation we're going to see is just going to be kind of excerpts of things that they have done around the country. And they have worked all over the country. both, in New England. They made a presentation to a local community, I think within the past few years. I'm not sure it went anywhere, but again, just from an educational standpoint, if nothing else, they'll be here at the February meeting.
Great.
Okay. And then I guess,
It looks great, by the way.
pardon, Tony?
Their website looks great. It's going to be fun to dive into that.
Yeah. So I would encourage, I think it's literally just urban3.com. So if you want to go out and take a look, they have, drop downs where it'll show some of the projects that they've worked on and everything. So it would be, thanks, Tony. Good reminder for people to maybe take a quick preview before they come in. May help kind of focus some of the questions we have for them. So, okay. So that was all we had for this evening. Anything anybody wants to see on a future agenda?
Not on a future agenda, but I do want to kind of give you guys a little bit of an update. We just had a really good, I'm the chair of the fiber committee. So just a fiber optic committee. And we had a pretty good meeting on Monday with the South Hadley people that Shelled or whatever, that they really helped implement the fiber. I think they've done Shutesbury, somewhere else out there in the hill towns, and I guess they've been very happy with it. But just to give you an idea of, and they do pretty much all the real heavy lifting in terms of, they even put together pro formas, they put together projections, and they help with the engineering, and so I think we are going to be trying to get into the Springtown meeting to get at least a vote, and we're not sure if it needs to go to town vote or if it needs to go to a ballot, but it is something that we're looking to move, I guess, fast on, because it is a 5 to 7 year process altogether. But it would basically help. It would implement fiber throughout the town of Hadley, at speeds that are 3 to 4 times faster than we currently have, at a cost that's less than we're currently paying, with probably better reliability, better service, because it's a local service provider, because they would go and do all the maintenance and so on and so forth. But it is a process. It's not cheap, but overall, and it is a enterprise, and it would be an enterprise entity, meaning we would be creating our own entity that would be collecting all the fees that people would be paying for the internet, and we would be paying essentially an administration fee to Shelled for their maintenance and oversight of the network and so on and so forth. So
Shardul, because we don't have it on the agenda tonight to talk about, I'd love to put it on the February agenda so
Sure.
people can ask you more questions.
Yeah, it was really eye-opening. It was made me definitely very excited about it, and it looks like it's a great option for the town.
Great. Okay, we'll add that. Unless there's anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. We'll see everybody, I'm sure sooner than the next meeting, but the next meeting for sure, which will be the third Thursday in February.